Hello there guys, and before we get to the actual video, I just want to take a moment of your time to remind you that we do have an active giveaway happening on the channel. We are giving away Xbox One and Beats headphones. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Trill Era channel who are sponsoring this giveaway for me, follow me and them on Instagram, and have this or any other of my videos shared at least on one of your social media accounts. And that's it. 3 simple steps will take you a minute to have a chance to win this wonderful Xbox and Beats headphones. Super easy to enter. All the links will be left in video description below to help you out do it quicker. And that's about it. I will be doing the draw live on this channel as soon as we reach 20,000 subscribers, so do not hesitate, hit that sub button, tell your friends, tell them to hit the sub button and follow us on Instagram, and perhaps you will be the lucky one to walk away with an Xbox One. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the latest addition to Marvel Contest of Champions, and that is Warlock. So as we all know by now, Warlock is a robot. He is double immune to poison and bleed. He also has additional immunity to cold snap and frostbite. However, typically when people like to call it triple or quadruple immunity or whatever, I don't really kind of count it, because it, for most part, covers just the one champion, Iceman, and maybe a frostbite node. But even though there's no incinerate immunity, so that's kind of irrelevant. But yeah, so anyways, he is bleed poison immune, and he's also immune to ice man, which is cool. Also, another thing to notice, he has a permanent armor up buff, which kind of makes him a really great matchup for Havoc, in addition to having class advantage, having some power control in his level 1s and level 3. He also will be basically safe and immune to Havoc's plasma detonation. So another thing to note is his heavy attack has bleed on it. However, heavy attack has only one hit on it, and in most scenarios you do not really want to use your heavy attack too much, just because it's a single bleed from a heavy attack, so it's not kind of too big of a win in that situation. Also, you do kind of thrive with Warlock whilst striking opponent and getting hits blocked and so on and so forth. So you do want to stick to your regular combos, because each contact you do make gives your opponent one virus charge. If it's a parry, it can be 3 charges, and that is how you get to your infections. Once opponent gets 20 charges, you basically infect them, and what the infection does is reduce their ability accuracy by 30%, their offensive ability accuracy. That is important. It does not do anything to their defensive ability accuracy, and it also basically heal blocks them, which is awesome because it's passive. It's a passive heal block. Those are extremely rare in the game, and I think that is kind of like the main thing where value comes from Warlock, that he has easily sustainable passive heal block that you do not have any problem maintaining the entire fight. So far, like recently we have seen Mysterio, who has a passive heal block, and back then I said it could possibly be one of the best heal blocks in the game. However, Warlock's is vastly superior. Why? Because with Mysterio, if you want to keep opponent under constant heal block, you do sacrifice quite a bit of damage, and you do need to play kind of like in a specific way, and there is a downside to using heal block from Mephisto. Sorry, not Mephisto, Mysterio, my bad. But yeah, Warlock does not have to sacrifice anything. With Warlock, you just play your regular game, you hit opponent, you block hits, and he's just gonna be heal blocked as like a side effect of that. You can keep to your regular game strategies, gameplays. You do not have to change the way you approach the fight, and that is amazing. I think that's huge. That's definitely important, and that is the main reason why I actually like the character. So now when it comes to actual damage, he's not the greatest. Even though I'm only using a 4-star rank 3 champion, we can definitely see that there will be many other champions that can easily outdamage him. He's not the hardest hitting champion. He's not meant to be. He doesn't have to be. That does not make him bad though, because his damage output is adequate. It's not game breaking, it's adequate, but the combined utility with double immunities, huge prestige, and excellent heal block, also some minor points of power control, I think make him extremely well-rounded champion with high prestige, and if you are going for a prestige game, I think he's one of the kind of like more decent, reliable options up there, and he definitely should be in consideration. Because yeah, prestige is also important in this game, and Warlock definitely delivers. He's about 10,600, and that is, I believe, somewhere in top 10. So that is a huge plus for the character, alongside being a stable kind of like champion to play with, because whoever ranks up Warlock will definitely be able to use him in multitude of situations, because he's extra large champion, which is good for variant 2, he's tech champion, which is good for variant 3, the double immunities always come in handy, ability to completely shut down opponent's heal also is super useful, and then there are obviously the additional bits of having access to bleed, having access to shock, having access to armor break, having a constant armor buff on yourself, which also can help in some scenarios, and then having some power control on your level 1s and level 3s. So here we are taking Warlock in against some opponents in Act 5. I believe this is 5-4-1 power path, and we're facing off against Dormammu. And here is going to be another kind of way to demonstrate that Warlock can and will be useful. He's not going to be the champion you depend your entire roster on, because yeah, the damage output in here, obviously, as you can see, opponent has more than 4 times the PI than I do. However, we will still be able to take this Dormammu down slowly but surely and steadily. We can use his level 3s as a power control, because level 3 drains 100% of opponent's current power, and that's huge. That's definitely great. And you also can heal with your level 3s, so that can be helpful in kind of extended fights, and that also kind of like makes him much more suicide friendly, because you occasionally will have to deal with recall damage, but when you kind of drop down a bit, you are free to spam a couple of level 3s and you will heal right up. And obviously level 3 does not have recall in itself, so you can completely avoid recall by using your level 3, still get good value out of it, because ability to drain all of opponent's power is extremely useful in this game. And then you just have like your stable base fight, keeping opponent once again heal block throughout entire fight. Now, do I think he's better than Sentinel? No. Sentinel is overall kind of more versatile character. He has access to more things. He can hit harder. He also can heal with his level 3s. He has Incinerate, Shock, and Heal Block, and Armor Break. So it's basically pretty much everything Warlock can do, just a bit better. Except Warlock does take the cake on Heal Block and Power Control. But nonetheless, they're 2 different champions. So overall, I definitely still prefer Sentinel as kind of like my top robot in the game. Maybe arguably Vision is still above Warlock as well, because Vision's Power Control is much more superior than Warlock's. So by the look of most things, like Warlock is a champion that's kind of like a bit of jack of all trades, master of none really, except one, and that one is the Heal Block. And that's amazing. I can't stress enough how important it is to have access to a passive heal block or way to passively reduce opponent's heal. It will 100% come in handy when you are dealing with endgame content. For instance, Warlock can deal with Kang final boss. In variant 3, Warlock can deal with that rogue because Mighty Charge does not shrug it off. And there are going to be scenario after scenario after scenario where the simple fact that it is a passive heal block will make Warlock come to forefront of kind of like viable options how to deal with certain problem situations. As we can see in this Dormammu fight, we have taken a whole lot of chip damage. However, we have managed to pretty much take this Dormammu down at this point via using our level 3s, kind of keeping his power in check, playing conservatively, making sure we can bait out his level 1s, not triggering a single degen from this Dormammu. Took us 145 hits, so once again, definitely he's not the hardest hitter. However, also keep in mind that his level 2 is multiple hits, so his level 2 climbs that hit counter up much faster than it would normally go by itself if you are not spamming level 2s. So the hit counter is a bit misleading in Warlock's case for sure. But yeah, so here are we checking out like Warlock against Vigor opponent. So again, the best thing about Warlock against all of these kind of like passive healing opponents or any kind of heal opponent is not just the fact that once you actually heal block them and they try to regen, you get benefit from that because you also drain their power and they start to degenerate. The degeneration is fairly irrelevant, especially like while you're working offensively. It does not do a whole lot of damage. So his signature ability is fairly cosmetic as far as I'm concerned. It's not really needed at all whatsoever for this character to do what he does best. And what he does best is completely shut down opponents' heals, punish opponents for trying to heal in a manner that we really haven't seen so far. And I do think that it's kind of like a new, useful interaction everybody should add to their roster if possible at all. And I definitely value Warlock kind of fairly highly when it comes to the tech champions, because once again, double immunity, heal block, power control, slight healing. He's overall well-rounded champion. He's not a game-breaking champion, but he's also a champion that I do think will come useful more often than currently people do realize. One thing I did not mention about Warlock's infections before. So as I said, once you reach 20, your charges, basically 20 contacts with opponent, you place an infection on opponent. However, that infection length is reduced for each unique buff opponents have. So as we can see here, our infections are expiring much quicker than they were before. Our original infection length is 20 seconds. However, for each buff, it gets reduced by 6 seconds. So if opponents have 2 buffs that reduce your infection by 12 seconds and only leaving your infection up for 8 seconds. So there are a fair amount of matchups you do need to be careful when using Warlock. Like for instance, against Venom, you will not be able to keep your infections on pretty much like ever on him. So that is definitely one thing to keep in mind, as well as nodes you are using Warlock up against, because quite few of them put permanent armor ups, permanent fury buffs, permanent precision and cruelty buffs at the same time. And if opponent gets like any buffs of their own, then you're pretty much messed up. So you definitely do need to think this through and be aware of the fact that opponent's buffs definitely greatly reduce the effectiveness of your Warlock, and that's why you need to pick and choose kind of like your matchups. Also, Warlock has extremely useful synergy with both Ultrons or any of the visions, and that one is whenever you would gain a buff you are immune to, you gain a 60% fury, and that attack increase definitely does add up. Now this fight is vastly over exaggerated because of flare node, so we are degening but we're hitting 3 times harder than we normally would, but the point still stands. Warlock, if you are running synergy with Ultron or either of the visions, is kind of like a great option to take for like stuff like Biohazard, or that node that puts bleed on you on every 7 seconds or poison on you on every 7 seconds. Champions like Abomination and Morningstar and so on and so forth, because you can in fact greatly increase your damage output in those matchups if you are running the synergy, because you will have that Fury active for vast majority of the fight, and that will help Warlock hit much harder. And that is definitely a fairly kind of interesting and new type of synergy that I do like. So I definitely thought that it is worth mentioning and bringing up. So my kind of like final and overall thoughts about Warlock. Do I think that he will replace Sentinel as like the best and dominant robot in the game? No. Do I think he will be useful and definitely find himself to be used in many kind of interesting specific scenarios? Yes, for sure. Because overall he has extremely well-rounded base kit of being ability to easily heal block opponent, being immune, having some power control, some heal on him, having access to armor breaks, and having access to bleed. However, I also think Warlock is a bit of a victim when it comes to Kabam overcomplicating champion text these days, because yeah, whatever he does could have been like put down on paper with much shorter amounts of text and much simpler kind of abilities. I do not like what Kabam has been doing recently with newer champions, when it seems like you do need to read a book in order to be able to use and understand them. Signature ability is fairly worthless offensively as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of extra text, and he actually is a fairly basic champion that is double immune robot with a passive heal block that occasionally will drain opponent's power or heal up. That's about it. But yeah, I hope you guys liked today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about Warlock. How do you rate him? Whether you think he's a good or bad champion? Whether are you going for him, whether are you ranking him for him or his prestige. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. Don't forget to hit all the like, sub, share buttons, the bell icon, stay notified, why not? And yeah, catch you guys later. See ya.